Well, good afternoon. As we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful afternoon of Thursday, April 10th, year 2025, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, then of course the likes of you out there to make it your business to enhance and fortify this concept called public access. Of course, I'm trying to gather my recollection when it comes to what was the last thing that I said last session of mine here on the air. And as I recall, if I recall, let's see. That's better. I can lean back and pretend like in a nonchalant way that everything is effortless. Anyway, so of course the thread of that which forms the identity of what public access stands for goes into the heart of the values that should that are extremely familiar to us here in America, in the United States of America, where the Constitution, in more ways than one, carries many reasons for us to feel comfortable about the idea of living in this country, functioning in this country, and taking it for granted, so much so that we can count on the system and count on the um, um, Constitution that by the nature of its formation, by the nature of its becoming, almost like as if it has a way of reinventing itself every day. Or I should say all the time, because like it's a living thing and for many years I thought all the things that I think about now and believe in and all that. I Years ago I felt like it's too lame and too good to be true. And not that I did not believe in it, it's just that I didn't deal with it. I didn't think about it because it was those mixed feelings that I had is was pretty much, if it's too good to be true, probably it's not true, or if it's too good to be true, probably it's not happening, or there's some discrepancies that um, mm, um, um, disrupting the flow of energy and the flow of the becoming reality that, especially in our country, that the Constitution injects and make available. And once I start getting into it, not that I'm a scholar of, of the implications of what the Constitution stands for, what it's all about. As a matter of fact, technically speaking, I know very little, still very little about it, but I know enough to say that this kind of level of confidence is lending itself. So the individual doesn't really have to be a genius or a scholar before he or she can adapt an opinion and implement a form of a code of conduct and a form of speech that will serve you when it has uh, been served as a point of reference. Most of the things that we want to do and we usually don't do, or we do and we fail, is because we didn't have enough of a point of reference that was supposed to serve as an anchor. And you know how it is. It's always that little tiny slippery movement that caused it never to engage, or caused it to engage too much, and therefore it took you too far. And therefore, uh, even when you completely submerged in goodness, it doesn't mean that you're feeling good. It doesn't mean that it spells good. The challenging aspect of it can make it very bitter and very out of focus. But if you're as lucky as I am, and when I have guests here, and I have many guests, and I see the chat and all this many times, it's not unusual that a guest will be here that I don't know, never met, never spoke to, never. I can't say that I didn't Google or ask a few questions or get just some basic idea, maybe a website or something, or just. But more or less, it will be like a stranger sitting in front of me. And so I was always forced to, in order not to get too anal, too predictable, and too uh, dispersed out of, kind of all over the place, and forgetting that the person in front of you needs your help. A lot of them think, I don't know this guy from Jesus, and I don't necessarily like when people start getting into uh, private things or just things about myself. And regardless of that, who I was and who I am becoming and who I will probably, most probably continue to be, is that person that doesn't really. It's just like if you go somewhere to an opening of an exhibition or anywhere where the public is out there, and you meet a person, and you know how sometimes you meet a person, he or she, and you've just realized that you just had a 1 hour conversation with a complete stranger that happened to be rewarding and comforting and also enlightening. Things like that happen. So that's what I want to make here with this particular show of ours called the Hello Hello Show. It's been here for over 4 decades. I learned a lot from Fraser Dougherty, the founder of LTV, that actually initiated this show. A lot, a lot, a lot. Um, it's funny. The more I thought like I know it all and I don't really need help, the more I realize I do need help. And the more I really realized that, I realized that actually I need more help than I think. So I stopped searching, and I stopped second guessing the clear reality in front of me. And once I stopped second guessing, it was easier because I uh, climbed the ranks and the levels and stages and steps so effortlessly. And before you know it, I was in heights that I never thought before, with the attitude that I used to have, that I would have ever reached that. And very early in the process, already found myself third, fourth, fifth level. That's a lot. Um, and um, So therefore, this show that is an hour, and when I have guests, especially those that I don't really know, yeah, I can say, "Hey, Joe or Susan, give us a minute of an overview of who this person sitting here across from me." It's fine, and I definitely don't poke that individual trying to say, "Oh, you said that, this," pick up on things that I heard from this person, and therefore I'm securing and guaranteeing 1 year. I mean, 1 hour of interaction on the account of some 1 or 2 minutes of description from this other person. But it's more like approaching the subject matter that wraps and hugs and brings into its own center everything around, everything creative, everything and anything artistic. So the tray that is being presented to you and handed to you is full of not only quantity of things, but the variety, the essence of the potential lessons that you can learn is so all over the place. And since you're known to be someone who can focus incredibly in moments of extreme demand and extreme pressure, so you know not only that you stand to benefit, people around you know that you're going to benefit because you're known. People have a recollection of your actions and of your execution and of your engagement. So I would immediately go start the interview, supposedly an interview, in the middle of the first or the second question, without even needing to ask the first question in the first half of the second question, going directly to the second half of the second question that happens not to be a question. Um, isn't it that from that level of maybe dreaded mediocrity that happens to be for us at an early stages of our creative process quite an achievement, that from there will spring the joy and the music and the movement and the motion and the acceptance of that which is installed for us in such a promising fashion down the road, the long road into our future that is, uh, if if anything, uh, mystical and surprising and um, promising. So so assuming that the other person, because I already sensed it, or because I already saw it coming, it was already told me. It was told to me that I was told in the midst of my reflections that this is how it's going to play out. So I initiated it. That was the beginning of it. The other person said, "Well, you know, you're right about one thing. The fact that you're talking about mediocrity, but still in the same breath, you're talking about how incredible of an achievement it is and how much of an achievement it is being considered to be." It's something that I had the pleasure to think about and to contemplate about quite often lately. And in the surprise that you actually went directly into this, I have an answer for this, because I felt that restoring my strength due and on the account of my level of commitment, especially in the early stages, that for me it was that I was really all in. And just because my work ethics were second to none in my eyes, but I gave it a lot of space, a lot of credit. So when it comes to work ethic, it was always give it what it needs, so it can climb the ladder of affection and challenges, and and just that motion of recognition and observation. You will be observed, I told myself. You will be observed. And if you're doing what you're doing the way you know that you're doing what you're doing, you have nothing to worry about. That's me telling you in relationship and in reaction to your wondering slash question, that this mediocrity, rests assured, is already climbing and not wanting to give up the title of mediocrity, because the title and the description is not important, at least not in the eyes or in the minds of those whom I know personally, that take it for granted that their engagement is making them full partners. And there's no discussion on the other end, on the other side. Uh, the world feels privileged and lucky that indeed you're occupying the immediate vicinity of the world itself, accessible, reachable, visible. And so therefore there's no decision making slow process that will slow you down or slow me down in all this. And then I would go into the heart of the first half of the fourth question without asking the third question and the second half of the fourth question, going directly to the first half of the fourth question, but not a question, but a question that sounds like wondering. So if I was to say to myself, by way of reflecting out loud into the heart of the movement, that is the specific, meticulous, certain movement that's known to me very well, that guarantees me uh, a safe ground and a duration that where I don't have to worry about anything, and that duration spells a, and no matter how I looked at it, enough time to create and enough time to accomplish beginning, middle, and end. So that means there will be a conclusion when this session is over, not knowing when it's going to be over. Sometimes the high forces will decide for you. Sometimes you will be granted the opportunity to decide for yourself. But it's one and the same, because you will greet and anticipate if it was to be handled for you and in giving to you. Uh, so and and then of course he's going to answer not answer, but join in the wondering together. Yes, I do agree that in that process of sharing resources and losing the previous knowledge, or any kind of premature knowledge of the other person that will give us a whatever it is. It really the nature of it is not important, but just the fact that there is material that's traveling from one's mind to another, and then you're counting on it. And but then if something goes wrong, then you have to come up not only with a second plan, with a brilliant second plan. And that second plan is something that I went through, and I'm very intrigued that you actually referred to it and mentioned it, because it really speaks in the language that describes me the best. And and I noticed that about you also, that you're vigorous and you're relentless, and you're so much more on that kind of direction, but in your own style, in your own time, and you're so prolific, and you're so on time, and you're so together with it, that it's nothing less than inspiration every time I get to meet with you and see you. And of course, I say thank you. I really appreciate it. But I noticed that, and I go to in that person. I noticed that about you too. It's funny that you should say that. When I went on your website and I saw your posture, you standing in front of the canvas, I heard myself say, "Where is she getting it from? What what forces granted her the casualness, if it's a word, casualness, to just stand freestyle, but still nevertheless have a command over the ingredients that are very tricky, very deceiving, but you know better not to find yourself not paying attention and just thinking that even for a second that, oh, I got it, you got it, but this attitude never works. So you um, guaranteed yourself, and that's what I want to run by you, because I saw that, and I realized that I understood most of what you're all about in the center of that heat in your studio and all that, and immediately that closeness kicked in, like uh, like 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 I couldn't even describe it. It don't you think so? Did you ever have to go through anything of such? And if yes, what did it mean to you? What did it spell? And and he would answer, "Yes, of course. In my travels, I went through all of that because it was easier, because I was letting my guards down, and not taking things seriously, because I feel like, because I don't know half of the world in front of me, if not all of it, it just spells freedom. It spells um, enlarging the space for improvisations, and also because of that, and due to that, actually finding yourself benefiting much more, and reaching much further than you anticipated. But it's funny. I want to understand, where did you come from, and what triggered that for you to express that to me and to pose it as a question. And I would answer, that's a good question. I commend you for being able to describe it like that, and I feel that you actually indeed asked me a question. Well, it's because it's too painful for me to see people that I can help, not help, aid, uh, give them some advantages in the attitude and approach to creating art. Save them hassle, save them time, save them energy, and you save them for the day and for the moment that you real, true, down to earth reality slash personality slash character, uh, that's facing a crucial moment, and you really, not only the kind of, I don't have to do it right, you can fail a million times, and then you'll prevail in the time 1,000,001. But um, but yeah, it's because I wanted to understand that there's a relationship between the the clarity of the future, that actually I'm responsible for, because it's I turned it to be something more intimate, even though it's the future, even though it's time, even though it's away from me, it's out of my power and with jurisdiction. It's still a what is it, a little a touch of encouragement, and enough of a boost to find yourself um, at ease and pretty smooth and fluent in the face of supposedly so many obstacles and so many slowdown uh, uh, factors. So I said to myself, well, I can see clearly also about other people if indeed I identify that which I realize that I carry and I pose and I, you know, going through. Um, so that sympathy is not sympathy. It is sympathy, but it's sympathy that thrives on its own for the sake of its own whatever stamina, and instead of doing for it. And by doing for it, you're actually creating it and becoming its master. And then you have a problem getting rid of this authority that you developed, entitlement that you have developed towards the moment, and that spells interaction with another human being. So well, when I say you, I said going back to myself, finding you there. What were you doing there? Now that's a full blown question, and that's going directly to the first half of the fifth question when we abandoned the second half of the fourth question. But well, you know what? It's funny you should say that, because I write everything. So I'm gonna look, and I look, and I found where it was written. I was weaving in the cellars of the deprived um, 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 metaphoric slave labor, and artistic connotation of the religious engagement slash practice slash adaptation slash um, uh, um, leveling the planes, and, the planes of the probabilities that you could do without. You can think about it intensely without your body moving, without having to think that you have to deliver yourself from point A to point B, and that you are capable. It's just that you're not always that young, you're not always that healthy, you're not always that happy, you're not always that capable, and so much more. So, still, the attitude itself and that infrastructure of that, which is under discussion, is going to stay there for as long as it's needed to be there. And then also, you'll be surprised how suddenly it won't be there, and it's relocating like in a flash. And by the way, if it's relocating and you're not informed and notified, you're going to end up with the most precious treasure, and not necessarily treasure, monetary treasure, or jewelry, or money, but treasure just like friendship, just like a potential individual that makes you happy. And you cannot not see the unconditional scenario, union, blending that will take place with this person if you can realize that that's it, and you make a life together and stay forever and have kids and be good partners and good fathers and mothers, and just the sky's the limit. And on top of it, you will abandon your personality just as much as you will be fortifying it in in plain sight, in you know in the center of stage. um so why am I saying all that? Is because you become the curious interviewer through being the intimidated interviewee. And I I checked it out many times, and this is an accurate statement. It works really well. And I I'm gonna do something. 1 second. And we're going to do this here. And yeah, is it? Is it? Yeah. And where's my coffee? My coffee's here. I even have chocolate. What do you know? I'm not gonna eat some chocolate now. Just see that. And let's see this and this. Anyway, don't need that. So you stretch into that zone of comfort, and especially because you know you're in good company, because you know the people, the person in front of you are worthy. Not because you think that there are some people that are not worthy. I mean, if people are not conversation compatible, you have and you want to have a conversation, interact and communicate, then it's a no go. I mean, it's not like you're gonna hate the people, but you would prefer from spending time with them when yeah, I mean, you can have some small talk here and there and for a short while, but you wouldn't. It's so now you're surrounded by people that are capable and smart and sensitive and caring and open and generous and giving and sharing and promoting the necessity, the importance of you know hand in hand and shoulder to shoulder, things like that, and um, and being super nonchalant about it because it affects you harshly if you will take it too seriously because it's um, just too cliche, and that gives you the creeps. It gives me the creeps. Being cliche or noticing someone else is kind of clichely communicating with me. I'm want to shrink and disappear, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Um, but then the seriousness of it all is that you start sharing with people knowledge that gives you and give the other person a realization that this is a friendship that's taking place now, embarking on a friendship, initiating, engaging, um, actualizing the spark that you have noticed and taking it so many steps later on, upward, sideways, definite progression and achievements. And and the level of certainty that we give to the world. Now, you know what? I can say that I could have heard myself years ago saying this is pathetic to hear myself say, "Oh yes, I want to give for myself, to society, to the world, contribute, volunteer," and which I did. I mean, but just like, oh, how lovey-dovey everything and meaningful everything and all this, and it's just right here. Um, um, it just an acknowledgement away, like right there. Um, and the world is beautiful, and life is short, and beautiful people around me, and the goodwill, and trying hard, coming together as a community. All these kind of okay. That sounds a little too painful, but you believe in all that. It's just that the style doesn't appeal to you, so you going by your style. You're going by your you know, like things like that. If you play the drums or the piano, you know, like making sounds, making it kind of almost compatible and accurate with the um, instrument itself. I want to do the wait a second. I remember that when we were growing up, we were doing that. Learn how to sing. Learn how to sing. Learn how to sing the beat. And some people know how to do it better than me. But anyway, and then anyway, if I'm probably sound terrible, but it's the it's just there, you know. And then if you take that and the reality of it, the trueness of it, the truthfulness of it, you know, it's major because it's creating already instantly, immediately a pillow, a surface that's hospitable and inviting and social, you know. And the greatness is, even though it can be perceived, you can never really anticipate or guess or predict it because it's always going to be better. Always, it's always been like that, and you know it by recollection. So you you want to have that back and forth, even if my fourth will be something that I will be assuming the position months ahead of time in order to be there in point of impact and encounter it in the 360-degree attitude with all my might that I can that I know about myself, just like that. So communicating communicating with people here would be like, and do you think that from the very understanding of the abruptness of the moment that circles and circles and circles, only to find out that you are a great candidate uh, in order to be the one that will hand you the reservoir of uh, being able, after all, to find a configuration for the zone of comfort that you have achieved so many times in the past can be observed and um, compartmentalized and put away for a rainy day. And that rainy day can be just about any day. And even if it's not raining, if you say it's raining. And plus, you are asking for the things that happen to belong to you, that you created yourself. I mean, there's a long story behind it. So where do where are we going to leave room for disagreement? Well, so far it seems like we agree more than anything. But shouldn't we put something in place so it can be available if and when it's going to happen or not? Um, because this and that and this, and then you're granted. You say yes, okay, okay. So it's a great instant upgrade, and you really realize that you got what it takes to poke a hole and to scratch the surface and to uh, press against the dent, create a dent, and then also, of course, uh, the ability to consume you and leave behind all the deposits that for you were treasures and savings, and for me were nuisance. So I got rid of it, and what that's a calamity. You can create a calamity in the hearts and in the minds of the other without knowing that you actually do it. And even if you were to know that you're doing it, you won't care. So, you know, there's some evil there. There's always, I accept the fact that there are things about people. There's so many from so many directions, from so many departments, so many subject matters, but you are uh, don't have to. Um, um, you can show that you know what you're doing, and those who are capable, they will see instantly and immediately if you're doing right or how you're doing. Period. Right or wrong, they know. They know enough, and it's kind of scary also because I was approached more than once by a maestro that tells me, "Listen, the fact that you're good, there's no argument about that, but you're making mistakes now, and unbearable mistakes, and I cannot stand across and take it anymore. You gotta change." Then he or she pursue to give you a crash course for the sake of that kind of duration to become eventually successful, and that crash course is is circling the immediate eternity, the immediate level of sophistication of the business of hospitality here. And to close at 8 anyway, that's like ridiculous. But in the same token, you want to feel that not only that you have a say, that indeed your creations come across as if one would need his or her entire time available for art in order to create that much and that often. That, you know. And here's a person right in front of me that's doing exactly that. In the midst of not having time, pressure all over the place, and that individual decides to pursue and thinks ahead of time, and it cannot hurt the movie theater because they're going to redo everything anyway. So if I bleach or if I do this and that, it doesn't matter. That's like small change. So that would be. So anyway, I want to join forces to enhance the concept, the concept that's known to us so much and so well, known to us, you know, so much and so well, known to us so much and so well. And as we speak about that, then it reminds me about something that I wanted to read to you, and I hope I have it here. Um, in the same spirit of what I've been doing now for 40 minutes. I guess it's too much to be able to explain sometimes what it is that I'm doing. I'm just hoping that people will capture a fraction that will remain with them until the next time around. Mm. And it's like storytelling poetry, but actually, the same token, it's um, never ending. Okay. Oh, the fear, the fear. Oh my God, the fear. So this is, let's say 15. We're doing good. So let's see if I can make sense and share with you. When I say share with you, I really mean sharing with you, and share with you something that I wouldn't usually share, and something that is maybe more on the level of that personal, uh, whatchamacallit, it's like to envision your smiling face. Is it to envision your smiling self? To envision your smiling self. I'm gonna grab a piece of chocolate with your permission, yeah? Mm. I think I'm a bad boy, eating chocolate like this and drinking coffee. Shame on me. What the heck? What the heck? Yeah. Okay. And so I'm going to skip that part because it feels a bit heavy in the process. I can tell you with certainty that visiting artists in their studios allows me to get the core of how things are done and what attitude is necessary to prevail and to create a foundation for breakthroughs. Every painter I meet wants to witness results. Yeah, I think that this is wants to witness results, to live with impact, and to experience that wow moment. We know all about it, really, the wow moment. That energy elevates an individual and inspires those around them to act. This is a remarkable stability in the state of mind required, built on deep core and and selflessness. Even when you're giving 20 hours a day to the world and carving out a new hours for yourself, carving out the new hours for yourself. It's the balance of giving and holding back, of being selfish and selfless simultaneously. Sometimes in rare moments, sometimes in rare moments, um, okay. Sometimes in rare moments throughout my life, I felt that condensed joy when every idea bursts forth with raw accuracy, a spontaneous, brilliant outpouring that saturates you completely. Even if it deflates somewhat because intensity accumulates and dissipates quickly. When you're in that state, you can almost end the episode before it overwhelms you. You have a plan. You've rehearsed your moves, and you spare yourself unnecessarily from self punishment. I know many devoted souls, be they rabbis, priests, or yogis, who strive to express their love for God and their art with unwavering commitment. And on the other hand, you supply the material for those messages. Everything is prone to change and in need of maintenance. A process that reminds you of the living, breathing nature of the universe. It urges you to allow yourself the pleasure of moving from one destination, one journey, one passage, or one suggestion to the next, even if the details are vague and unknown. At the core, the answer is always you. To perform with delicate precision, there must be room for celebration, a clumsy jump that does not break the sturdy framework of your creative infrastructure. Even when you put yourself aside, you discover that you still have the strength to face another day, another challenge. I've learned this in the most intense hours when I cannot be passive. If I wish to spare myself the scars, there is a magic in sharing these experiences with others, blending our humanity to create something collective, something that becomes an enduring part of our shared heritage. I've seen neighborhoods, towns, and even entire cities transform, all speaking the language of a preconception, guessing, even in the face of abundant yet limited knowledge. After returning to my studio, I always ask myself, have I learned the basics? The ABCs of touch, smell, hearing, sight, impression, compassion, and concern? Generosity and responsibility weave the layers of my experiences over the years. It's a delicate dance between readiness and spontaneity, between giving and holding back, and between controlling the situation and trusting life to deliver its own message. Own message. I want to emphasize that as I move forward a new destination, I carry with me the essence of transformation and heritage. I encourage you to extend the hand, to envision your smiling self, adapting to the change, and to share your love with those who matter, whether it's your sister, your wife, your son, or your family. Let them know you're someone that they can rely on, a source of wisdom and support. Today, for instance, I ordered a 5 by 5 canvas, uh, 5 feet by 600 feet. It's a roll of canvas, a reminder that you don't need riches to procure enough material for about 20 large paintings. You roll out the canvas, you stretch it, and let everyone appreciate the work. A small yet powerful ritual of creative renewal. I aim to the touch to touch the center of my craft again, to feel that extra burn that comes from sharing pain and inspiring understanding. When I speak of you, I speak of us, reflecting my own experience in every interaction. Don't play games with words. Use them to support, to help shape compositions, and to express the willingness to cope with desires. This creative energy brings paintings to life, and it shows that we're here today, tomorrow, and always continuing on our journey. I love that. You know what? I don't know what you're saying or what you're going to say. There's something about it that's very appealing, really nice, really, I don't know if I should say comforting. Yeah, comforting. Something about it. Comforting. And you see yourself too also removed from the equation that considers abnormalities in genuine attempts to like Mother Nature is doing some things for you just because it knows that what you're doing is important, so it will give you enough room and the knowledge that you don't have to do everything yourself. Some crucial, little tiny things, but crucial and time consuming, will be done on your behalf. And now at first I thought it was like ridiculous me to think that Mother Nature is doing anything for me. Like literally. And in early years I would go to my studio and it would be like, wait a second, I don't recall the studio being so clean, so tidy, so together. So yeah, Mother Nature did some things, tidied up and left me some notes. And so so that's better. And and that knowledge, fortifies the weak spots, the weak areas. We all have weaknesses. It's just that we don't have the knowledge of where exactly it is and how to. If you know the location, you can do a lot more, and save energy and put it right back into the solution of how not to spend it too much ahead of time prematurely. And if you do spend it, how to be ready and compatible with replenishing. If you are a real artist, you know what I'm talking about because every minute counts. Really, every minute counts. And people say, of course, every minute counts in life in general. But if your project and concept oriented, uh, you cannot survive mediocrity or complacency. You cannot survive this. I mean, if you are one of these two, or you speak in the name of one of these two, you have no room and no chance and no space to be accepted in the process of yeah. You know what? I'm going to answer the with you. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta go. Oh my god. Okay, where am I? Where am I? What's going on? Where's this? Where's that? Where did I put it? Yeah, I put it here. So let's just say that we're going. Thank you for giving me the time and giving me the opportunity to sit across from you and chat and and things of this nature. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate it. God bless. We're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, and as much as we're here tomorrow, and as much as we're here today, this afternoon of April 10th, Thursday, year 2025, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi. You know all about the endeavor of our group art exhibitions that I've been curating for 28 years here out of LTV. We got a wonderful black and white show by great artists still on display for the next at least 2 weeks, maybe even through the fourth week of April. And we're coming up with a wonderful exhibition on the first week of May. And we'd love to see you here. Don't look for special reasons to come here because it's a special place and you just come show up here at LTV Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And we're parallel to the runway of East Hampton Airport and Industrial Road. And it's easy, just LTV. God bless. We love you and we appreciate you. And we are aware of your existence out there and aware of your effort in place to make a difference. God bless.